Yo, what's going on, world? This is your guy, A to the D, the NBA contributor from behind the curtain. Things have been picking up. I won't say for the summer league. So I was real skeptical about watching Wembanyama play, and I wasn't really disappointed. It's his first game, so I don't expect a whole lot from just one game. But I do think that in time, I think he's going to be a pretty good player. Because Miller, he didn't come out looking great either, but he had a bounce back game. I think they're rookies, so you can't only expect so much. Scoot Henderson, he looked good as well. So to me, they all look pretty good. I don't know, or I don't. I'm not gonna say I don't know, but I didn't. I didn't think anything was wrong with any of the players that I saw. One of the biggest surprises I saw was Oklahoma City Thunder Trey Mann. This dude is out there hooping. He definitely trying to make sure he stays on the team, which that's what they play for. They play to be on the team. And I was really surprised by him and what he's been doing lately. So to be honest, I think that the NBA season coming up is a lot to be expected. I think there's going to be a lot of players that's going to surprise people. Because I'm talking about that Wembanyama, because people ragging on him. Oh, he a buzz. He don't look good. I'm like, it's one game. He just got on the court for one game. He will be all right, ladies and gentlemen. It's just one game. But what you should have noticed about Wembanyama is the way he can pass that rock and the way he can block shots. If they put a nice cast around him, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the years to come. So, you got to look at it for what it's worth. Don't just be like, he had a bad game. It was literally one game. Now if he had it over a period of time, then that's a different story. But because it was only just one game, it's one game. So don't crucify the man for having for having one bad game. There's plenty of people who've had bad games prior to this one. He's not the only one. He won't be the only one. But I do believe that, with time, he will become a better player. It's not a situation where he's going to be bad all the time. It's going to take him some time. Just the same way I feel about Miller. They're going to have ebbs and flows. They're going to be up 1 minute. They're going to be down the next minute. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to be good players because of it. It's basketball. You start off like that. Look at it like this. What if he starts off real hot and real good? The next thing you know, he starts looking bad. Then what? I would prefer him to look bad in the beginning and look better throughout the season as opposed to looking good in the beginning and look bad throughout the season. Because to me, he's still working out the kinks. He's not used to the NBA game just yet. The other guys with Miller, he was in foul trouble. So that's kind of a little helpful point of why he couldn't really play because he was always in foul trouble. But Scoot Henderson, he looked pretty good. So it's not like, these guys, just give them time. Don't crucify these guys just yet. Give them some time because with time, they will become better players. But as of right now, it's new to them. It's fresh to them. Not saying that they can't play. It's new, and anything that's new is going to take a lot of time. So, don't be too hard on these guys just yet, man. I think that's another problem with our society. You want everything to be so fast and so quick, as opposed to just waiting and see. It'll be there. Oh, shouts out to my guy Mike Bibby all the time. That's my guy right there, Mike B. Did I tell you about the time? Well, I ain't gonna tell you about it, but we did run into Mike Bibby when we was in Vegas one time. But that's neither here nor there. We'll talk about that later on. All right. So we post in the comments if you guys want to join in. Come on in. But anyway, I do think that there's a lot of talented players. I even like the guy from Boston, Jordan Walsh. He was out there looking good, out there hitting shots, playing defense. I don't know. They might have found a replacement for Grant Williams really, really fast. And because of it, if he can play anything close to what Grant played, I think that the Celtics are going to be all right with that pick. With that first pick. Then you got Chet Holmgren came back. He looked real nice, which is to be expected because the guy hasn't played in a long time. And I'm glad he's getting the opportunity to come back now, as opposed to them trying to force him to play during the regular season. At least they're giving him an opportunity to warm up, get himself together, so by the time the season runs around, he'll be in good shape. He'll be ready to roll. Yeah, the dude from the Jazz is definitely a problem. I think his name is Keontae George, if I'm not mistaken. He is going to be a headache out there. And I hope, man, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for the season to kick off. One thing I do hope, though, is that these coaches do not get in the way of these players, meaning they don't allow these players to play the game. Last year, 2 years ago now, I was like, Cam Thomas needs to play. And when he started playing, he started scoring, he started putting up points. Then the next thing you know, you didn't hear again from him. I'm like, yo, these coaches, like, what are y'all doing? How you going to expect a guy to develop if you're not playing him? Like, he has to get out on the court. Now, you have your reasons for why you're not playing him, whatever they may be, but these guys need to be out there on the court. So hopefully George can get some playing time. He's not stuck in a situation where he's going to like just be there on the bench, just learning his whole entire rookie year. Because I get it, but in the same token, like if I want my player to become better, he needs to play. Like you can't get better if you don't play on the court. So we'll see how that plays out. It was another guy. It was who was the other dude? It was another guy. What is that dude's name, man? Oh, that's it. My personal favorite, Anthony Black, point guard. This dude is going to be great. I don't know what Golden State is doing either with all these guards. It makes no logical sense to me. The only thing I could think of is stockpiling these guards to put a package together where they can move them to get some bigs. Because other than that, like I don't get it. Like they way too guard heavy in my opinion. They got to figure out something, and hopefully it's soon. But getting back to my guy Anthony Black. Okay, Anthony Black about 6'8", 6'7", 6'8". Got a little bush, got a little dye streak in the side of the joint. And he is a legit point guard. I don't want to throw any comparisons out there just yet, but he did go to the Magic. There's somebody else that went to the Magic. I'm not putting him on Penny's level yet. I'm not doing that. But what I'm saying to you is that I like his game. I think he has a really thorough game. He's in my opinion, a true point guard, a definition of a point guard. And that's what I like. Now the problem with the Magic, they got like 3 or 4 different guards right now. Because you got Jalen Suggs, you still got Cole Anthony, you still got Markelle Fultz, then you have him. Then there's another guard that I'm missing. And so it's like you have 5 considerably point guards. And that could create a logjam for him to be able to get some time out there on the court. That's why I didn't kind of understand that pick. But unless they're planning on moving any of those guards, and I can see them moving Anthony. And from what I'm being told is that they're kind of souring off of Jalen Suggs as well, which is dumb because they should have never picked him. I thought that was a bad pick from the jump, that they should have never picked him. But you live and you learn. But Anthony Black, I will say he will probably be starting. Yeah, way too many guards. He will probably be starting about midway through the season. Because that dude, listen, y'all don't like to listen to me when I tell y'all this stuff. I'm watching these cats, man. And I watch them for a good little period of time, and I can see what they can do on the court. And so that's why I'm telling you, watch out for Anthony Black. Just like I said with Cam Thomas. But the rules are how they played, and the coach is going to go how they're going to go. But watch out for Anthony. Watch out for Anthony. I wish that he would have been picked by the Wizards so I could actually watch him play more, because I'm not a Wizards fan, but I do live in D.C., and so we get a chance to get the local games. So I do want to see him play. Another guy that I was really, really impressed with and that I wanted to see a little bit more of was Cam Whitmore. make sure you guys pay attention to Cam Whitmore. Watch him at Villanova, certified dog, freshman. He's out there getting buckets. So I cannot wait. And I mean, I cannot wait to see this dude play, man. I think just saying, brother, just saying. But I do like Cam Whitmore's game. I think he's gonna be a good one. It's just like it seems like a lot of these teams are drafting like the same type of players for whatever reason. And it's not making a lot of sense, but they feel like that's the players that they have to go and get, and so they're getting the best players available. And I think Cam Whitmore, if I'm not mistaken, he slipped because he's supposed to have been like a top 10 pick, and I think they wound up getting him at like 20 something, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Houston got a steal. Quiet as kept, Houston is certifiably putting together a pretty solid team. It's just a matter if the coaching and the players can get on the same page at the same time, and I think it will be happen. I think they'll be fine. Um, Detroit Pistons. Monty got to get that thing together fast because they got way too much talent out there in Detroit. He got to get that thing together fast, man, and I mean real fast. So again, the players that look good in my opinion were Trey Mann, Miller, Anthony Black, Cam Whitmore, Keontae. I think his last name is. Dang, why do I keep forgetting this dude's name? Keontae, the dude from Utah. Keontae George. He looked good too. Agreed. And so you gotta like. I'm trying to think. It was another cat. It was one more cat. Jaden Ivey still looked good. Jabari Smith, he's looking a little bit better. Um, but like what's weird is that you watch these cats in the summer league, they kill, but then the regular season rolls around, these jokers not out there on the court. Don't know. If I think if I'm Houston, I don't know if I want to bring James Harden in with this young team. I think you should just be what you have and build out from there. Because I think that Houston is going to be a good team, and I say in the next couple of years, because they're building it the right way. Similar to what the Kings did. They made the one trade for Sabonis, which was a good pickup. And so now look at the Kings' trajectory. They're going to slated to be one of the better teams in the Western Conference this year, which is a good thing because, like, in my opinion, you need parity in any sport. You don't need to have the same teams keep winning year in and year out, even though it seems like it's always happening. But you need to have new teams in there. You need to have a fresh breath, a new life when you generating. Because think about it. If you had the same teams every year playing in the championship, you're going to be like, whatever. Now, granted, the better teams are the ones that typically go into the championship. Case in point, not a lot of people like the NBA Finals between the Nuggets and the Heat. I loved it. I loved every minute of it because to me, Miami did what they had to do to get there, and so did Denver. The other teams failed, so they don't belong in the NBA Finals. And that's just bottom line. If you are trajected to be one of the top teams, then you should be in the NBA Finals. Bottom line. Now, getting back to my which players look good. I did like Jalen Williams, but the reason why I'm saying I like him is because he's showing the fact that he can jump out to the 3-point line and shoot threes, which is a good thing because you don't have Chet Holmgren down there. You know what I'm saying? That OKC roster is going to be nasty. You hear me? You got Chet coming back. Who's the guy? Giddy. Shouts out to my man Giddy, the point guard. Like his game. Who else was it? It was Giddy. God dang it. I can't even think. What's the guy's name? It was Giddy and it was another guy. I cannot think his name. But anyway, I think OKC is going to be in good shape this year coming up. So that's going to be another team in the West to watch out for. Because you got to think like it's going to take time for these teams to gel together. And then barring any major injuries, then, they should be essentially pretty good in the playoffs or whatever. And hold on, let me see. I need to find out this dude's name because this is pissing me off. Pacheski. I think that's his name. Let's go straight to the roster. Bam. All right. They still got Lou Dort, Chet Holmgren, Shea Gilgis Alexander. Watch out for Shea, SGA. I'm telling you, Jalen Williams, Aaron Wiggins, Kendrick Williams is a good player, and Jalen. Both Jalen Williams are pretty. Jalen Williams is quiet as kept as a sleeper, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the next year or two, because he's playing right behind SGA. And actually, they was playing together with playing side by side, and they just picked up Patty Mills. That's another veteran that's going to help them out. And they got Victor Oladipo back. Now, granted, I don't know, and I feel really, really bad for Victor Oladipo. I really do, because the dude can ball, but he's just keep getting hurt, and that's why I feel bad for him. But the gist of what I'm saying is that OKC is going to be one of those up and coming teams, and so they have a lot of players that, as of right now, look pretty good in the summer league. And Chet is back. I'm glad. I'm so thankful for him coming back, and you just go from there. But if you had to pick, like, who would you pick as of right now as the best player you've seen thus far? Don't forget about this guy named Orlando Anderson from the Miami Heat. Dropped 25, and he was doing it inside and outside. Big man. Again, Miami find these gems. I don't know how they keep on doing this, but they found this gem in this guy, Orlando Anderson. If I'm not, I might be messing his last name up, but I know his first name is Orlando, and he's cooking. You hear me? Like cooking last night. And so, again, they find these players. Like whoever's on this scout team for Miami, they are doing he needs to be paid heavily, because they always seem to find these undrafted players that everybody else overlooks for some strange reason. And I'm just like, yo, how do they keep finding these players? And they undrafted. Like, think about all the players that Miami has that have been undrafted. And they keep building them the same way. We're going to find an undrafted player. We're going to build him, put him in this Heat culture, and he's going to become this great player. Or good player. I ain't going to say great, but become a good player, a solid player. Like, like Matt Strus was, like Gabe Vincent was. Now, both of those guys went off and got paydays, but they started with the Miami. They embedded themselves into that culture. The next thing you know, they went and got their paydays. Don't knock them for it, and I understand it. So they made it to the finals with essentially undrafted players. And if you look at that roster, I think Bam is probably the highest position player on that starting five, if I'm not mistaken, because Jimmy Butler wasn't a high pick. Strus definitely wasn't drafted. Kyle Lowry, he might have been a top player too, if I'm not mistaken. But Bam is probably the highest pick player that they have on the team. Everybody else, the other two were undrafted. Then you had Kyle Lowry, and Jimmy was drafted late. And they still made it to the NBA Finals. And they beat the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics, two teams that have had great talent, but unfortunately they lost to them. So Miami is doing something right. That's what I'm saying. Make sure you check out Orlando Anderson. He is a big man from the Miami Heat. So those are the players I have been impressed with thus far, because Summer League is just that. It's just the place where you learn the new offense that you're getting ready to go into, and you score buckets. That's what you do in Summer League. You go out there and you go get yourself some buckets, and you learn the offense that you're about to go into. But unfortunately, a lot of those guys on those rosters are going to be cut, and they're going to have to find either the G League or have to go overseas and finish playing, because there's not but so many spots left. And if you're not one of the top picks on the team, then it's a likelihood that you won't make the roster. And sometimes those guys do make the roster, hopefully. But the part that's messed up is that, let's just say, I'm just putting this out there. Let's just say, for example, X was a top pick, right? And you have an undrafted rookie come in, and he's killing X. I mean, destroying him. You can't put that player over player X, because why? You invested into him. And that's the messed up part about it, is because people won't admit to what they did is wrong, and damn, we messed up and picked the wrong player. They'll just say, hey, we're going to stick with them. We're going to see how long we can stick with them. Personally, I want the best player on the court. I don't care if you was drafted number 1 or if you was drafted number 69 or if you wasn't drafted at all. I want the best players on the court because to me, the best players are going to give you the most effort on the court. And those are the type of players that I personally like. Any player that's going to give me any type of hustle, any type of good shots, like an overall solid player. Those are the type of players I want. That's just me. All right, here we go. Now we're going to get into it. So the NBA just introduced yesterday the in-season tournament. And by most of the people that I've spoken with, they don't like it. Personally, I don't have an issue with it. I think it's a dope idea. I think that that's something that they're trying to essentially make it a little bit more entertaining. And they're trying to bring like that college feel to the game. And I don't mind that at all. I think that's because at some point, the NBA's got to change up something. They got to figure out something. That's why they added the play-in. Because they're trying to strategically add that college feel into the NBA. But they can't do it in the playoffs because just imagine if the best team lost one game and then they're out of the tournament. You know what I'm saying? Or they're out of the NBA playoffs. You'd be pissed off because it's just one game. But I think what they're doing is gradually putting in these college type rules so it can be more attractive so people can watch it. It's just to generate a lot of buzz for the game. Because if you can keep generating that type of buzz, you're going to generate money. And the more money you're going to make is the more money the players are going to make. See, it all goes hand in hand. It's all about being able to generate money. That's essentially what it boils down to. So they got to come up with strategic ways of how to make the game better, how to make people watch the game more, besides your traditional ways that they've been doing it. And I don't have a problem with it, but people hate it. They don't like it. They think it's stupid. Hey, I ain't got a problem with it. I think it's something because to me, I like change. I don't have a problem with change. I think that's what makes things better or even worse. Now, let's just say look at the bad side of it. If it doesn't work, then what? It just didn't work. But if it works, then what? So I don't see a problem with it because if it doesn't work, cool, we tried it. But if it does work, oh man, it's great. But again, it's to each his own. Everybody's gonna feel a certain way about it, but I don't. I think it's great. I want to see it happen. I want to see a lot of these players get into these type of situations because when you think about it, right? Hopefully we all like watching basketball. And it's just another cap in the feather for you to continue to watch basketball to make it a little bit more entertaining. And if you don't like it, like you really don't have to watch it. But personally, I love watching basketball. I would sit there all day long and watch basketball. And then if you want to tell me that there's a different bonus to it, like the players are getting paid. Now, there's no additional game being added on at all. So it's not like they're playing more games than what they currently are playing. I don't know. I don't see the issue in it or the problem with it. That's just me. That's just how I feel about it. But again, to each his own. If you feel a way about it, so be it. But the rules and the way that I read it, it's gonna be fun. Like they setting it up where I think it starts November the 7th or November 9th, one of the two. And like I think it was Tuesday and Friday or Wednesday and Friday, they're gonna be games played. Then they're gonna have different groups. So it's gonna be, I think, six groups with teams of 5, if I'm not mistaken. And so 6 groups with teams of 5. Is that right? Yeah, and you play everybody once. So you'll play everybody in your division one time. What's the problem? They still playing games that they would have to play anyway. So it's not like they're going out of their way to play additional games. They're playing these teams anyway. So you play the teams that's within your division, and then if you beat them, you'll move on. And if you, I think in second place, then you'll be in the second round or first round, however it goes. I'm still trying to figure it all out. what I do know is that I think it's going to be pretty entertaining, and I think that people like just embrace it. Don't be so I don't want to do it. I think it's dumb. Just embrace it. You'd be surprised how much fun it could probably like really wind up being, because if you like the NCAA tournament, right, which I do, you're gonna love watching this. They playing the games anyway. It's not like they not playing the games. So you're just watching them play on like a regular season game, but they're playing it within their division of for the play-in purposes. So I don't know. I like it. And there's a lot of people that's not gonna like it, and that's fine. Because people saying they already saying it's dumb. I think it's funny. That's just how I look at it. They're like, man, that's dumb. It don't make sense. What's so hard about it? Like they already playing games. All right, hold on. That's not what I'm looking for. Where is it? That's it. All right. Hopefully, I can get it to where I can explain it to you guys a little bit better. All right. So this year it will be the inauguration in-season tournament. So there will be all 30 teams will be in there. Um, so it'll be like I was saying, it'll be 5 teams in 6 different groups. So you'll play everybody within that group one time. And 8 teams will advance to the knockout round. The team with the best standing group play in each of the 6 goes to the wild card. So the details are each team, the 15 teams in each conference were divided into 3 groups, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I'm going to give you the rundown real quick of the groups. Now, this is the thing. Like, some of these groups are better than others. I'm not saying why, but it just is. So, all right, let's go. In the Western Conference in Group A, you got Memphis, Phoenix, LA Lakers, Jazz, and Trailblazers. In Group B, you have Denver, Clippers, Pelicans, Dallas, Houston. Group C, you have Kings, Warriors, T-Wolves, OKC, and Spurs. Had to take a sip on this one. Then in the Eastern Conference, you got Group A, which is going to be Philly, Cleveland, Atlanta, the Pacers, and the Pistons. Group B is going to be the Bucks, Knicks, Heat, Wizards, and Hornets. In Group C, you're going to have Celtics, Nets, Raptors, Bulls, and Magic. Now, if and when LeBron decides he wants to come back, which I'm sure he will, they're going to have a tough road in that Western Group A. Because you're going to have to beat Phoenix, Memphis, and Utah is an up-and-coming team, whether people want to believe that or not. I think Group B is probably the easiest out of that group in the Western Conference because you got the Nuggets, Clippers, Pelicans, Mavericks, and Rockets. We don't know if Zion coming back. We already could see that hopefully Luka and Kyrie can play better this year than they did last year. Then you got Houston. Don't expect a whole lot from Houston. And then you really had to worry about the Clippers. So pretty solid division, I guess you could call it. Then Group C is the Sacramento Kings, Warriors, T-Wolves, Thunder, and Spurs. OKC will be the team I'll watch out for in that division. They're young and they're hungry. Like really hungry. All right, down it goes. In the East, I would probably say it depends on if James Harden comes back. So if James Harden comes back, I will probably give the nod in that division to the 76ers because they got 76ers, Cavs, Hawks, Pacers, and Pistons. But if Harden doesn't come back, 76ers is in a lot of trouble. In Group B, you got the Bucks, Knicks, Heat, Wizards, and Hornets. That's going to be a tough division. That's going to be a real fight in that division. And then in Group C, you got Boston, Brooklyn, Toronto, Chicago, Magic. I'm not trying to be biased here, but I think Boston should win this group. Quote unquote, should. I really want to see. I can't. I gotta stay on topic. I got a lot to talk about. All right. So then, after that, it's a lot that goes into it. So all I can tell you is just be on the lookout for it because it's gonna be tight. Trust me. People already, I don't like it, but I'm telling you, just listen to me. Listen to your guy. I will not steer you wrong. You will be on point and you're gonna love it because you love the NBA. If you love the NBA like I love the NBA, you're gonna watch it because it's not. Again, the tournament, it is already games being played, and then towards the end of the season. Okay, I'll ask you this question then. Would you rather watch it this, or would you rather watch the All-Star game? I'll wait. I'll wait on this one because there's no way I'm watching that All-Star game. I wasn't going to waste my time last year. So I definitely know I'm not going to watch it this year. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, that's what it was. I know it was Tuesdays and something, but thanks, man. I appreciate that, Woo. And that's just give it a chance. That's all I'm asking for. If you don't like it after it's over with, cool. But personally, I think a lot of people are going to they're going to like it as opposed to right now because it's new. It's not, they haven't seen this yet. You're not adding any games on. You're still watching the same amount of games you've been watching. No difference. Still the same. So I can't wait for it to get started. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Now, this one is a kind of interesting one. Greg Popovich. Do I like him getting an extension? Yes, I do. Because I think he can help Wembanyama a whole lot. But he is like almost 80 years old, man. Like, I know he still want to keep on coaching and everything, and I get it. But at some point, you got to just turn them reins over and let somebody else go at it, man, because you're an older gentleman. No disrespect to you. You have literally won 5 championships. Now, I would hope that, whoever was the next in line could assume your position and, you could. So this is what I'm thinking. He'll coach this year to get Wembanyama acclimated to how he wants to run the system through him. Next year or the year after, he'll retire. He's not going to fulfill that whole 5 years. I think he's going to give it a solid 2 or 3 years, and then he's going to retire. But I think he wants to put Wembanyama on the right track first before he decides he wants to retire. Because essentially, that's going to be his legacy, his last big man. Had David Robinson, had Tim Duncan, and then you finish with him. I think that's a certifiable Hall of Fame career in itself. Not to mention the championship that you've won as well. I think you're a Hall of Fame coach. Like, so I understand why you signed a 5-year extension because it makes sense because you want to be able to teach this young man. But I would, if I was him, I would do a year or 2, and then after that, live the rest of my life out because you're going to be cemented in NBA history anyway, Coach Pop. I think you're a great coach. I think you're one of the best coaches to ever coach in the NBA, and I think that it's up to us, the fans, that to acknowledge that, and I'm acknowledging it right now. I think you're one of the better coaches that ever coached in the NBA, and you have an opportunity to coach Wembanyama, one of the can't miss athletes since LeBron James. So, shoot, yeah, I would definitely take on that challenge for a year or 2. Then after that, I'm out there, because you got to remember, I don't know how much better he's going to be. But if he already, because you got to look at it like this, he's already coming in with a certain skill set. So as long as they play up to that skill set that he has, I think they'll be fine. I don't know what the expectations are for the San Antonio Spurs coming into this year, though. I don't know if it's playoffs or if it's like, hey, we got to get close to the playoffs. I'm just curious to know what is Greg Popovich's thought process on this upcoming season. Like, are we trying to make the playoffs, or are we just trying to build to get to the playoffs eventually? Because if that's the case, then That's perfect if you're trying to build to get to the playoffs, because it's going to take time, especially with him and the players that he has around him. Are pretty solid players as well. Um, I like their roster. They have a really good roster, but they're young, and so that's part of the issue is that the fact that you got to take the bumps and bruises because it's a younger team. And what is it? Hold on, folks. Because if you think about it, right? Where we at? Where we at? Lost it. I think they got I want to say Keldon Johnson from Kentucky, Victor Wembanyama, okay, Sir Jabari Rice. Oh, they got Devontae Graham. That's a good pickup. Lamar Stevens. Yeah, I forget. Kelvin Johnson, Jeremy Shohan, Blake Wesley, Seti Osman, Doug McDermott, Buckets, Zach Collins, Kim Burge, Devin Vasil, Dominic Barlow, Charles Bassey, Trey Jones. Solid pickup. Gorgie Jang, and I don't know how to pronounce this guy's last name. I ain't even gonna try to butcher it. But for the mere fact, um, they have a decent team. They need a solid star though. If they could figure out how to get a solid star and pair him with Victor Wembanyama, I think they'll be in good shape. Somebody like a Shea Gilgis Alexander. Not saying him, but somebody like that. That's like on the verge of becoming the next star, but not the actual star just yet. But he's on the verge. They need to get somebody like that. Somebody that's about to run out on their rookie deal in about a year or two. That's like right there. They need to pair him with somebody like that. Because then that way they can grow together and they'll have an established team with those two stars right there. Because whether we want to believe it or not, Victor Wembanyama is already going to be a star or superstar just based upon all the hype that he's received coming into the NBA. So if you want to say he's a star, cool. If you want to say he's a superstar, that's even better because he's going to receive that coming into the league. Well, he already has it now. Like the dude literally can't go anywhere without people noticing him. Not just because of how tall he is, but because his name literally has been spoken about for the last 4, 5, 6 months now. So. And it was some teams are more fortunate than others. That's all I can say. Because I didn't have the Spurs on my list as the number one team, but they got them. So you got to deal with it now. And just looking at the roster here, it's not a bad roster, but it's not like a great roster either. That's why I said they need to get another star. I don't know who that star could be, but if they could pull out another star on that team, I think they'll be in great shape. If they could trade a couple players, like a couple of like role type of players, and you could get in, but you're gonna have to. I'm trying to think how you're gonna have to do this though. You're gonna have to finagle it to the point where it's gonna be somebody that's gonna be able to grow with Wembanyama, and that's gonna be tough. It'll be like a Mikal Bridges type. You need somebody like that, that's not even he's not on the lower end of stardom yet, but he's not on the higher end of stardom just yet. He's like right there in the middle. If they could get a player like him down there in San Antonio, I think they're gonna be in good shape. But again, it's just a matter of how they're gonna start the season off. But personally, I think they're gonna keep what they have and just move forward and try to grow that roster because Keldon Johnson is actually a solid guard. And if I'm not mistaken, he was averaging was it 19 last year? Or was it 18? Yeah, where's I just seen this name? Jeremy Shohan. There we go. So he's averaging 17 last year. Quality, you know what I'm saying? Like that's quality points right there. So you figure you're gonna have to build off of that. So that was probably the best. Let's see. Shohan, I don't think. Oh, he averaged 5 a game. Two. Yeah, I don't think they have. They need a solid, and I mean solid star out there. Vasil, he averaged 11. No, he averaged 18. So he averaged okay. So you had Vasil last year averaging 18, and Keldon Johnson was averaging 22 points a game. So that's they going in the right direction. So I'm not too upset with that, too mad about it. Then you got Wimbenyama. So I think they're gonna be. I think if Greg Popovich can get the most out of his players, he's always been known to do that, and he's always had athletes that have he's gotten the most out of, and they've had pretty good careers. Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Patty Mills, David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Sean Elliott, Robert Ory. You know what I'm saying? So he's had players and he's gotten the most out of those players when it was time for him to get it. So, yes, I do like the extension, but I just hope he doesn't fulfill it for the next 5 years. So that's the answer to that question. All right, let's go. Okay, so this is something that's been on my mind for a little bit of time now. Is should Dame go to the first team available, or should he wait it out in Miami? My opinion is, if he really wants to get out of Portland as bad as he's saying he does, I will go to the first contending team I could go to. Because let's just say he does go to Miami. How much better does he make Miami than what they went through last year? Does him going there make them an NBA finalist team again next year? Or does it mean that he'll probably be in the same situation he's in now? Again, if I'm him, I got to weigh my options and I got to see what team is the best fit for me, not necessarily just the Miami Heat. Because if he's hell bent on just going to the Heat, if I'm Portland, I'm holding on to him. I ain't in no rush to trade you at this point for what? You can sit here and wait, and when I decide I want to trade you, I'll trade you. But until that point, I'm not in the rush to push you out here because you came out and said you wanted to get traded. Cool, we're gonna honor that. But then in the same token, you saying no, I only want to go to this team. Well, what if I can't make it a trade with this team? You're gonna have to add a third team in there. So once you add the third team in there, that's gonna be something totally different because that third team is going to want something from me as well as the team that you're trying to go to. And so, again, if I'm Dame, I'm trying to go to the best situation for me, not just go to Miami. Because even though they get him at that pick, they get him, I don't necessarily know if that makes Miami that much better. Because you still think about it, you still have Bam will be there, but your shooters are gone. Gabe Vincent and Max Strus are gone. Now, granted, they didn't play that well in the finals and things like that, but you don't have those players coming back this year. So now you got to make up for those points that they were scoring last year in the playoffs, up into the finals, and throughout the regular season. Now, I'm not sure what players you guys picked up. Let's see. So, because I think you lost a little bit more. All right, so you still got Bam. Then you picked up Thomas Bryant, big man. That's not a shooter. You did get Jamari Bouye. He's a rookie. Still got Jimmy. Udonis Haslam is retiring. Tyler Hero is on the roster right now. That's subject to change depending on if they trade for Dame. So then that's another shooter you down. So that'd be 3 shooters that you guys have lost. If Hero is a part of that deal. The one pickup I did like is Jaime Jaquez from UCLA. That's a great pickup for him. I mean, for Miami. Now, I don't know if he's going to be the shooter like Hero was, but he's a pretty good shooter. Then you still got Kyle Lowry. Again, another person that might be on his way out of there. You still got Kevin Love. You did pick up Josh Richardson. You still have Caleb Martin. That is a great, great, great guy. Don't let that guy walk away for nothing. So when this contract up, make sure you re-sign him and bring him back, Jack. He was showing out in the finals. So I would definitely have to bring him back. Then you got Josh Richardson. Remember this name, I'm telling y'all. Robinson. Orlando Robinson. I said his name was Anderson. It's Robinson. Orlando Robinson. Remember the name because he's going to be an impactful player coming off the bench right after Bam. Trust me, if he makes the team, which I'm banking on him making because he's a big man, 7 feet tall, 235 pounds. The only other big man they really have on the team is Kevin Love and Bam and him. So he'll be the third big man. So he should make the team. And he's definitely going to give you buckets. I'm watching him in the summer league, so he should be pretty good. Listen. Dame has a decision to make. Now, whatever decision he chooses is totally up to him. But you got the max deal. Then on top of that, you want to go to a certain situation. But let's just say that situation doesn't work out in your favor. But you're still going to be stuck in Portland. So why not try to get the best deal for you that you can get? That way you can still get out of Portland. Because it's obvious you don't want to be in Portland no more. You want to move on. And everybody gets it. Trust me, everybody knows you don't want to be in Portland no more. You know what I'm saying? But in the same token, you don't want to be stuck in Portland either. And if the GM is thinking like I'm thinking, I'm going to keep you here for as long as I can. I'm not in no rush to trade you. For what? I'm going to get the best deal for me and my team. Like we had some deals. I'm sure they had some type of deals on the table already for Dame. But for whatever reason, he probably was like, no, I don't want to go there. Or it wasn't Miami. You know, because I heard a couple different teams. That was Brooklyn. Boston was in the mix. Who else was it? Brooklyn, Boston. I think Philly was in the mix. Like all of these are solid teams that he could have gone to or go to. But he's like, no, I'm only going to Miami. Cool. Just go to Miami. But I don't know if I don't know if you're going to be that much better with him in Miami. Because you lost a lot of shooting. You lost Strus. Lost Vincent. It's a possibility you're going to lose Hero. Kyle Lowry is in that boat too. Another 3-point shooter. So you essentially going to be left with Jaime Jaquez, who's a rookie coming into this year, and Duncan Robinson. Now, you've seen how up and down Duncan Robinson was throughout the season. He couldn't even get on the court until the playoffs. Up until that point, he wasn't even getting on the court. So that's like, I don't know. You got to be careful what you're trying to give up. Because to me, if you give up too much for him, then it almost could be like you in a bad situation. Now, Dame is a phenomenal player. I'm not diminishing that man's skills at all. I'm just saying does him going to Miami and them losing all of these players to get him, or the players that Miami have already lost, is that going to be enough to propel them any further than in the NBA Finals than they were last year? Because every team in the NBA gets better every year. Let me rephrase that. Supposed to get better every single year in the NBA. Now, granted, it doesn't always happen, but it's supposed to. You're supposed to be better than you were the previous year. Now, with the move for Dame, yes, it makes Miami a really sexy name and really sexy team, but is that going to be enough for Miami to win the NBA championship? Can you honestly say that, yes, that move for Dame is going to be enough for us to win the championship? Because you saw what happened last year in the finals with Denver. You need some big men, right? That's what you're gonna need, and you're gonna need some shooters because that's all Denver has is shooters. Now, granted, Denver did lose what's I call him? Bruce Brown, who was a significant role player. They also did lose Jeff Green, who was another significant role player, right? So they did lose two key players. But if Miami makes the trade for Dame, there's essentially Miami is going to lose way more players than Denver has lost, and Denver core is pretty much intact. And then Miami, you got to put a core together. I don't know. I think Dame should just go to where he feels is right for him, or he feels is good for him, wherever that place may be. I'm not judging him. I'm just saying I will probably go to the better situation, not just I want to just go to Miami and that's it. But it's that man's life. So hey, I'm just me, man. Oh, finally. I had this. This one is a doozy right here. So, which player would you pick between Kevin Garnett and Dirk Nowitzki? Um, I thought this was a very, 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 very great question. And the reason why I say it was a very good question, because it made me think. And it made me think really hard. But I'm a diehard Kevin Garnett fan, as you could tell by the jersey. Like, diehard Kevin Garnett fan. So to me, it's always going to be KG. And because of that, I've had people say, hey, you can't be biased, blah, 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 blah. You're right, I can't. But this is my opinion. So I'm going to always stick with KG no matter what. Now, the better scorer, hands down, is by far Dirk Nowitzki. It's not even close. But overall, I got to go with Kevin Garnett. To each his own. All right, so let's go. NBA championships. Garnett has one. Dirk has one. NBA seasons. Garnett 21, Dirk 21. Playoffs played. Garnett 14, Dirk 15. So advantage goes to Dirk in that one. All-Star games. KG 15, Dirk 14. MVPs. KG 1, Dirk 1. Finals MVPs. Kevin Garnett, none. Dirk, 1. All NBA first team. KG, 4. Dirk, 4. All NBA teams. Garnett, 9. Dirk, 12. Now here's where it's going to get interesting. All defensive first team. Garnett, 9. Dirk, 0. All defensive teams. Kevin Garnett, 12. Dirk, none. Defensive player of the year. Kevin Garnett, 1. Dirk, none. Rebounding leaders. Garnett, 4. Dirk, none. Now, just based upon that, depending on who you like, they're really equal. They're a lot more equal than people think. And for you to just be like, oh, it's Dirk, like you got to really look at it. Look at the overall contribution of each player to their teams. And I think is a very, very valid and fair comparison. I think this comparison is a lot better than the Jordan LeBron conversation, because these are actual two power forwards. These are actually two guys who can get it done, and they play in the exact same position. That's why I will always take the comparison of the two of the same type of players playing the same positions, as opposed to one playing one position and one playing another position. You can't, in my opinion, you can't compare that. That's two different positions. Compare the player that plays the exact same position, then we can have a conversation. If we want to compare Kobe to MJ, let's have that discussion. If we want to compare LeBron to Scotty or LeBron to Grant Hill, cool, I'm with it. If you want to have a comparison with Penny and Magic, I'm with it. They played the same position. But this LeBron and Jordan debate, they don't play the same position. So how can you literally sit there and say, oh, let's compare the two? I still don't even know how that argument even started, because it's two different positions. But I guess they both need somebody to compare the other two. Whatever. Now, Garnett averaged 17 points a game. Dirk averaged 20, which was a given. The rebounds, Garnett averaged 10. Dirk averaged 7. Assists, KG averaged 3 or 4. Dirk averaged 3. Steals a game, Garnett averaged almost 1.5. Dirk maybe 1. Blocks per game, Garnett averaged almost 1.5. Dirk 0.8. Total points, Kevin Garnett has 26,000. Dirk has 31,000. Total rebounds, Garnett has 14,000. Dirk has 11,000. Total assists, Garnett has 5,000. Dirk has 3. Total steals, Garnett has 1,800. Dirk has 1,200. Total blocks, Garnett has 2,000. Dirk has 1,200. Total games, Garnett is at 1,462 and Dirk is at 1,522. So again, if you want to compare people, compare the same positions that they play. So then that way you can compare them side by side, as opposed to you saying, hey, I'm going to compare MJ to LeBron. Why? There's two different positions. Don't compare them two. Compare the two that play the same position. It's like Shaq. I'm going to compare Shaq and Kobe. No, it doesn't make sense to compare the two. What makes sense is what? To compare the same positions. And like people would be so this is so like funny to me. People be hell-bent. No, it's Jordan. No, it's LeBron. No, it's Jordan. How about you compare the players that actually play the position, as opposed to you comparing the two players? Compare LeBron to Grant Hill. Compare Jordan to Kobe. Just like I'm comparing KG to Dirk. That's a very fair comparison. Like literally, the numbers are almost identical. The only difference is that Kevin Garnett is more of an overall all-around player, whereas opposed to Dirk is more of a scorer. And the numbers show it by him scoring almost 5,000 points more than Kevin Garnett. But other than that, if you go down there and you look at it, they have pretty similar careers. It goes back to who you like the best. Personally, it's always going to be that guy. It's always going to be Garnett. There's nothing that you can tell me to make me pick Dirk Nowitzki over Kevin Garnett. We just ran down the numbers for you. The overall better player, Kevin Garnett. The overall better scorer is Dirk Nowitzki. So it's however you want to pick your poison. Do you want to pick a scorer or do you want to pick an overall player? It's your call. Well, my call. It's my show. I'll do what I want. But anyway, that's just that. And so don't be flustered when they come to these comparisons about who and what. You pick your comparisons, but make sure you're comparing the same position and not two different positions. This is your guy, A to the D, signing out. I can't believe your guy did a whole hour by himself. No fellas called in. Nobody checked in with AD. So guess what, y'all? Y'all have a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. It's raining here, but you know what? Shouts out to Mike Bibby too. Shouts out to Mike Bibby. That's the guy right there. Mike Bibby is the guy. But anyway, you guys have a great Sunday. I'm tuning out. Make sure you come back here next week, the same time, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 Central. Again, I post throughout the week, so make sure if you're not following me, that you follow and subscribe to my different pages. We on Instagram, which is at ANDUNM77, and also at behind_the_curtain95. We on Twitter. You know what I mean? We on YouTube at Behind the Curtain 6309. You know what I'm saying? We on Facebook, Antoine Dunmore. That's it. Y'all have a beautiful Sunday.